don't want the video. I do anyway.
I think it's interesting, Dana. No. Oh, okay.
Oh,
You ready?
oh, not us. I want their video.
Hey, Dan, we could spring for that. That's wireless. Listen, I don't wanna mislead Anna, that's what you're ready
Have a
with.
finance committee meeting? Oh, I don't know. We may be taking a collection. On that, he's building more bocce courts.
Okay, everybody ready? Can everybody hear me?
Take your mask off.
Okay. Well, it's 7 p.m. on Friday, April 16th. This is the date and time set for the monthly meeting of the Hidden Valley Foundation Board of Directors. Before we call the meeting to order, we have members' time. Anyone who would like to speak should, well, how do they notify us?
I think they just kind of open their mic.
I think if you open your mic and ask your question, then we'd be happy to hear your comment or answer your question if we can. Anybody want to start?
Hey, Pat, it's Wendy Gonzalez. I'll start.
Okay, great. Go
Hi.
ahead, Wendy.
Hi, I'm Wendy Gonzalez, and we have a place in the Summit. And I know in the last meeting, it was brought up about the proposed trash compactor, and I have multiple concerns about its location at Southridge Center and the garbage collection there. First of all, I don't know if it was really clear if that's where the trash compactor was going. It was at Southridge Center, and I just want to implore you not to put it there at Southridge. It's already a congested area, and I feel that that area would be better utilized for parking. The second thing is, obviously, I'm not a fan of the trash compactor. I know it has a purpose. However, it's a very large industrial piece of machinery. I saw one at Home Depot that trash compacts their cardboard. And we're talking about a massive piece of industrial machinery. And I have concerns about how will it be secured, who's going to be authorized to use it. I feel it's a huge liability if it's located at Southridge, where there's going to be a playground within a couple feet of it. I feel like kids could climb into this thing, animals. I just feel, again, that it's a huge liability. And the third thing that I would like to say is that that whole area, I think, has been a point of contention, and everybody recognizes that that whole recycling area and the overflow garbage bins are just an eyesore in general. And I just feel that they should be moved to another location. That, again, I think they're taking up valuable space at Southridge Center. And I just feel that there would be a better place, whether it's at the maintenance building where we keep the salt, someplace else other than Southridge, because that just seems to be such prime real estate for something that really shouldn't be an operation in front view. So I appreciate your time on that. And I just want to say too, that I'm hoping we're opening both polls, and that's all I have for the evening. Thank you.
Wendy, thanks so much for your comments. I have to tell you, we just had a lively discussion about the very issues you raised about the compactor. And so we appreciate, your contribution, and stay tuned. We'll be sure and let everybody know our decision with regard to the location of the compactor and the recycling. Obviously, we're all aware that that is valuable real estate, and we're trying to utilize it so that, you know, it's a more attractive area or one that is used for recreation. So thank you. Anybody else? People say I go too fast, so I wanna.
We're gonna wait.
Okay, if no one has any more comments, we'll keep pushing through. So we're gonna call the meeting to order at approximately 7:06 PM. Roll call?
Roll call, Pat McGrail,
Present?
Bob Kohler,
Present.
John Eddy,
Present.
Bill Leisure,
Present.
Dan Martin,
Present.
Chris Taylor,
Present.
and I'm John Dickinson, and I'm present. Thank you.
Thanks, John. We've got a quorum established. Before we get into the heart of the meeting, you know, we're gonna be, making changes, as everyone is aware, in terms of our organizational structure. And, this evening, we have our new accounting manager who has joined us. Her name is Anna Holloway. Anna, why don't you give everybody a wave? She'll be on board full-time, as of May 3rd. And so there will be many, many changes that you'll see coming up in terms of your quarterly billing and, communication between the foundation and the homeowners, and Anna will be a big part of that. So we wanted to welcome Anna aboard, and I'm sure she'll be anxious to get to know everybody. Okay, so moving on, do we have a motion to set the agenda?
I'll make a motion to set the agenda for this evening.
Motion by John Eddy,
I'll second.
second by Bob Kohler. Any questions or comments? If not, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed?
Wait for that.
I gotta wait for them. So ordered. Okay, do I have a motion to approve the minutes of the March 19th, 2021 board meeting?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Dan Martin, second?
I'll second.
Second by Bill Leisure. Any questions on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? So ordered. Treasurer's report. Bob Kohler.
Thank you, Pat. So as is my usual practice, I'll use the treasurer's dashboard to give a quick overview of where we are financially. So our financial statements, we have closed up through February 28th. So for the 8-month period, July 1 through February 28th, we're showing a surplus of about $243,000 compared to a budget surplus of about $22,000. So quite a significant difference there. And there are a couple of reasons for that. One, our current year revenues are much higher than budgeted, primarily because of the high number of property sales that have taken place. As many of you know, we have a lot of new homeowners here, and every time a new homeowner comes in, they're charged a $500 entrance fee. So we are way over budget on a good way in terms of entrance fees, so that has contributed to an increase in our revenue. Our expenses are under budget, primarily in the labor category, because we had a couple of unfilled positions during the year. Some savings from the shuttle service and the pools, grounds maintenance, and our professional fees. We did continue throughout the budget year to make our transfers over to our reserve replacement fund in accordance with our budgeted amounts. In terms of our financial position, you might recall a couple of months ago I started to report on a ratio used by nonprofits called our days operating cash on hand. And as of February 28th, we had approximately 172 days of operating cash on hand. We can certainly keep the lights on for about, several months there. Our accounts receivable delinquencies, we're doing a fairly good job of collecting on those. At the end of February, we were at $96,000 in total receivables. As I've mentioned before, we have one large delinquent account in the over 90-day category that is tied up in an estate. We do work hard on that. There's regular communication. But in terms of, given the economy and some of the situation that a lot of people are in, we have seen very few new delinquencies. I'm very pleased to report that. Our replacement fund and our investments continue to do well. At the end of February, approximately $2.4 million there. We've been helped, of course, by the improvements in the stock market, but our two investment managers, Gaia Student Investments and Somerset Bank and Trust, continue to do a very good job for us managing our investments on a very conservative basis. The one thing we are seeing, of course, is we've had a couple of certificates of deposits that have renewed, and any of you that have CDs, you know that they are not paying anything. So they did renew at a very low rate, so I took them out for the shortest term possible as I wait and see what happens with interest rates here. Our capital budget year to date, so these are the hard assets that we buy and replace things around the community and large projects. So we've spent about $290,000 year to date on a budget of around $533,000, so we've spent about 54% of the total capital budget. There are a couple of other things that will take place. Of course, we did approve at a previous board meeting the Ridgeview Road Drainage Project, which I know the residents on Ridgeview have been awaiting, so we expect to see that work start here in the spring. Turning to page 2 of the dashboard, kind of the non-financial indicators that I look at. Our maintenance department continues to do a good job. Brian and the crew are catching up on the work orders. We're a little below target, but keep in mind that we did have a maintenance person on leave for a couple of months, and then something about snow on the ground, Brian. In the other non-financial performance measures section, the one thing that really kind of jumped out at me was the number of phone calls fielded by the office staff, and a large part of that was, of course, during the summer months related to the pools and the pool reservation system, et cetera. But then the real estate activity, so courtesy of my good friend and neighbor here at Hidden Valley, Mike Mikulich. So the units sold, right, from July 1 through March 31st, 122 units. Last year, same time period, 62 units. And then the number that just floors me, 4, not a typo, ladies and gentlemen, 4 units currently for sale here on the market, in the market at Hidden Valley. And those are the ones that are on the multi-list, of course. There could be some that are privately owned that are on the market. The other thing I wanted to talk about tonight was Finance Committee. I always pair my Treasurer's report with a Finance Committee and Audit Committee report. So the Finance Committee did meet this week on Tuesday evening. We had a lively discussion about our proposed budget draft, so the operating budget and the capital budget for the upcoming fiscal year. So I'm waiting on a couple of bits of information that will enable me to finalize that budget plan, and then the board will get to walk through it. I always do a board budget workshop. Following that, we typically do a public meeting in early May so that I can present the budget to the homeowners and get homeowner input and reaction, and then final approval would take place at the May board meeting. The couple things I am comfortable saying right now is that the budget contemplates no assessment increase. The budget contemplates that both pools would be open and operating, and the budget plan as proposed so far also contemplates that we would restore shuttle service for full operation next winter. So those things are all incorporated into the budget. The Audit Committee has not met, but they will be meeting during the summer months as we gear up for our annual audit of our financial statements. Madam President, that concludes my Treasurer's report.
Thanks, Bob. Before I ask if there's any questions, do I have a motion to approve the Treasurer's report?
I'll make a motion to accept Treasury report.
Motion by John Eddie,
I'll second it.
second by Dan Martin. Now, any questions for Bob? Okay. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Oops. So ordered. Okay, Brian, we have our maintenance supervisor here. Do you want to give us a report?
Yeah, thank you. I'm going to keep my comments a little bit brief, focus on the bigger picture items, not necessarily get down in the weeds too much. Number one, winter seems to not go away here. I woke up to an inch of snow on the ground. I knew it was coming, but still pretty alarming. Wouldn't be surprised if that doesn't happen again. I know we've been getting the pools ready, and it's been known to snow while we're doing that. JML does continue to work on property. They've been here, going on close to a month now. They're close to about 2/3 of their way through in, mulch prep and spring cleanup. From their having discussions with them and looking at the work that they've completed, they should have no problems completing all of the deadlines that are outlined in their contract, which is the Friday before Memorial Day. It includes all of the spring work for them. The maintenance team continues to press on with work orders and do various other items that arise in routine maintenance. We will be starting on the pools here very shortly. We're going to start on Monday. The Highlands pool has not been seen in a couple of years, so we're going to try and get that open. Probably need to put a little extra elbow grease on that pool over there. So we're going to try and get a little bit of an earlier start on this year. In regard to tree work, Paul Bunny's been on property a few days in the last few weeks. They've got about a half day left currently, and then we're going to save 2 days till close to the end of the fiscal year, just in case there's any emergencies or pressing issues that arise. And lastly, the Ridgeview Stormwater Drainage Remediation Project, that is scheduled to begin early next week.
That's great. Sounds good. So Brian, with the pool, Highlands Pool not being open since, September of 19, what types of potential issues could you encounter?
We did pull the cover off partially.
Okay.
To take a peek, and we had to drain some water out of it, because it did fill up a little bit. I could still see the bottom at that point, so that was, it was fine.
Okay.
I don't really foresee any major problems. The only problem we could foresee is a frozen pipe, but we did make sure we winterized that pool a second time before last winter, even though it wasn't used.
Right.
Just to make sure we didn't lose any antifreeze or anything like that. Pools, people go years without opening their pools and no problem.
Okay,
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
okay. Keep us posted.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
well, that's good news. Okay, committee reports. Bob, you've already given us a finance and audit.
Finance and audit, yep.
Okay. We have a page from the ACC. It looks like we had a number of applications for improvements still. So I think everything.
They're coming in
was approved.
strong.
Yeah. I noticed everything was approved and one was deferred.
Yes, there's only 2 people. I want to talk to him. We're fine on everything so far.
Okay, great. No report from maintenance, no report from rules and regs. We do have a report from the Social and Rec Committee, and they reported that, on the Easter, egg hunt and party, which seems to have been a huge success once again. And, we thank Robin and Aaron for their hard work on that and that of their committee.
And the Easter Bunny.
Oh.
And I got good use out of that costume. Easter Sunday, my wife and I went for a walk. I said, I'm wearing that. So I walked around the community.
Really, guys?
Got out and took pictures with me.
Oh, that's great. That's
It was
great.
fun.
Some guy came out with a funny looking face and a funny hat on his head with a big gun.
Elmer Fudd.
Don't worry.
Okay, we have a page from, Wendy Gonzalez, and for everybody's information, Ben Phillips has resigned from that committee. Wendy's been working very, very hard, and we do appreciate, what she's doing. And Wendy, continue to keep us in the loop. We appreciate your hard work. We have no report from the strategic long-range plan. There is a page, in our, board packet from the Nominating and Leadership Development Committee, and soon they'll be giving us a report and updating everybody on the calendar for this year's election. We also have a written report from the Landscape Committee, which is a subcommittee of the Strategic Long Range Plan. Dennis Carroll is the chairperson. I do want to say that Linda Lackey chaired the community cleanup, which was last Saturday. She did an absolutely stupendous job in keeping all of us organized. She was aided by the absolutely beautiful day that we had. It's hard to believe we're in the same community today. But she did a great job with that, and we thank her for her hard work and the hard work of everybody who came out that day. Is Dennis Carroll out there? Dennis, do you, we did receive, your report and your submission to the Budget Committee. Do you have anything you'd like to add at this time?
Yes, I'd just like to remind everybody that we've started up working on the heights again. And Paul Bunyan will be cutting down a number of trees probably on the second week of May. And that's when we'll start doing something. And given if we have time, we may do some planting in the spring. If not, we'll defer the planting until the fall, when it's a better time to plant the trees. But I'd like to get some of the deciduous trees in now. But we'll see how we progress. But I just wanted to let you know that there's some activity up there. And by the way, for those who don't know, if there's an orange X on a tree, it means it's going to be cut down. That's all I have.
And Dennis, I do want to remind everyone, and I think this is part of Linda's project with the cleanup, because it was too early to plant annuals on the community cleanup day. She is going to be asking for volunteers to help plant annuals in about a month. And so everybody watch the website or the weekly update for that solicitation, because I'm sure we could use the help. So thanks for the hard work of the Landscape Committee, Dennis.
Thank you.
There's no report from the Wi-Fi Committee, and we do have a written report from the Communications Committee. You know, to everybody who is out there listening to the meeting on Zoom, I don't want to go through every committee report that has been submitted. Those are available to everyone, and the committee chairmen are going to do a much better job at describing the work they've been doing than I could. So I do encourage you to read through that board packet. Okay, is there a motion to accept the committee report?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Bob, second?
I'll second.
Second by Bill Leisure. Any questions? If not, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Always think I go. So ordered. Okay, other reports. Dan, why don't we ask you for an update on the water treatment plant?
I went by the treatment plant today, this morning, or early this afternoon, I guess. I have some pictures which I'll be sending to the board members. Progress is being made. They're waiting for the instrument control guy, the INC guy, to come and finalize his panel work, which he's supposed to be there on the 19th. Once the panel work is done and they can start to bump the motors, then they'll be able to pressure the system and test it. 2/3 of the filter media is in the 4 tanks. The other third is sitting on the floor in the building in pallets. Site work is progressing as far as trying to do some site leveling. They're waiting for the weather to get a little bit warmer. They've got some concrete pads formed and poured. Once they get the media in, once they get the motors bumped, and once they can get a product out of there that they can run a test on a test lab for, then they'll be able to get their permits filed for. So the building, it needs a few more things, a few more carpenter items on the outside of the building. Piping and electrical is 95% done. It just needs to get the INC completed so they can move forward to get the permitting process through the government. It's making progress, slowly, but it's getting there.
So Dan, when you said the 19th, you mean Monday?
Monday, yes.
Okay, great.
It's supposed to be there on the 19th.
Okay.
And that's the last piece of it before they can start moving water and pumping. The tanks some of the tanks, the liquid tanks have water in them and chemicals. Some of them are loaded already and ready to go. They just need to complete the filter media, get the INC done so they can bump the motors.
Any idea of a date when this plant will be operational?
I mean, the building will be done clearly by the end of this month. Hell or high water, bad weather or good weather, it'll be done by the end of this month. Then the permitting process, then we'll have to file those forms and seek any help that anybody can give us in trying to get some of that stuff through. So that's the next step, but we have to get some test product out of there to get to a lab to see if it's conforming before he files a permit.
Okay,
Okay, so we're getting closer,
getting closer.
closer.
And Bob, you have the other side of it?
Yeah, so the legal side, the McCloskey case continues to snake its way through the PUC administrative process, but, you may recall that last May, May of 20, there was actually a hearing held on whether or not Hidden Valley Utility Services had to, complete the treatment plant within a year, and that is still not resolved. The latest is that, the Office of Consumer Advocate, on behalf of us as homeowners, filed a series of questions that HVUS was required to answer. Those have been filed with the PUC, and now the various parties, myself included, and the Office of Consumer Advocate are reviewing the responses from HVUS. So once the process is complete, I think the judge is gonna call a hearing to make a final determination here. So she seems to be very much watching, to the extent she can, the fact that this water treatment plant is being installed.
The meeting that we had scheduled before was canceled a couple weeks ago in his effort to work with the attorneys to answer the questions, so, at least it appears that he's put some effort into trying to get the answers squared away.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Progress.
That's progress.
I'm gonna say progress.
This is a small P.
Slow progress.
Okay, we have a written report from the security, guards. We have a written report from Jefferson Township, and Chris attended the meeting as he always does, and they've indicated that they're gonna be continuing to maintain Gardner Road. And I think so far they've done a real good job.
Well, okay, Chris, next time you go, would you thank the supervisors for taking care of all the down branches along Gardner from 31 up to 31?
I don't know, is that him?
That's into the right, to the left.
He says yes, okay. All right.
The security report listed one theft. Is it major or minor, or does anybody, I mean, a report that just lists one theft or 14 house calls or 6 doors ajar doesn't really say much, I was wondering. Okay.
I know. Salt Dome update, there isn't a report with regard to the building, but just everybody will see on the agenda, we are renewing our lease with Seven Springs for another year. And I guess that's good.
We made a decision on the salt dome, right? With maintenance?
No, I included some money in the capital budget, but I think that's something that the board, we gotta talk about, how do we want to move forward with the salt dome? I mean, we have a 1-year lease, it seems like the lease gets renewed every year, so we have, I think, a decision to make on how much do we wanna invest. The current structure needs some work, and I would recommend that we get somebody to look at it, give us a professional opinion on its current state, and what are our options. And Brian's already done some legwork, so I think that could be shared with a professional engineer to take a look at the building, and then we could make, hopefully, maybe a better informed decision. I think we're kind of on borrowed time with the structure down there, but I'm not qualified to make that assessment, that's just me looking at it.
I thought also in the lease, we were gonna try to get a notice that if they weren't gonna renew it, it's not in this lease, and I just wondered.
No, it's not, and we're not getting it.
They're not gonna give it to you.
What you see is what we're getting.
Same thing you got last year, though, right?
The
And the
1
year before, and the year before.
Okay.
Okay, moving on. Southbridge Center Building Project update. I did provide everyone with an update on where we are going with the building project. So it does appear that we're gonna be moving toward building a pavilion, along with, restrooms and outdoor showers. The pavilion will be a Morton Building component product and will enable us to add walls, if the community feels that they want to do that, in the next couple of years. We chose to go, down this road because building a bigger building, was turned into a much bigger project in terms of cost than we had hoped for. We're trying to stay within a reasonable budget. And as everybody will recall, in the 2019 survey, less than 30% of people were in favor of the new building. And so, we definitely needed the outside restrooms. I think generally speaking, we will use the, pavilion in many, many ways. And so it's a good step forward in, providing more space for gathering and recreation. The 2021, Strategic Long Range Plan Survey closes the 18th. I think Rick is out there. Rick, are you able to, talk to us?
Yeah, quickly, we're closing on Sundays, the last day for the input. As soon as we can get the data out, which is going to be working with John Wolf to get it to Jay. Chris, Jay, and I plan on trying to turn the data analysis around in 10 days. Our next step would, again, as you know, Pat, would to meet with you guys to update the results, update the budget. I know there's a couple items that Bob is waiting for budget input from the survey. And then at that point, we'll be ready to summarize results for the community. So the critical path is being able to get the data out of SurveyMonkey Monday so Jay and Chris and I can begin our efforts.
Okay, very good. We're anxious to see those results, Rick.
Yeah, so are we.
Okay, we're gonna move on to new business, but, I think we're gonna have to amend new business because there is no motion to hire Anna Holloway.
It was really nice you attended.
Thank you.
Appreciate your thoughts.
And,
Robert?
so,
We can certainly do that, we should do that.
yeah, so,
Why don't we make that 11.5?
yeah,
Motion to approve accounting manager.
the hiring of Anna.
Is there a
Holloway.
targeted completion date for the building?
We're hoping by the end of this year, this calendar year. But we've got to move pretty quickly to get it done. But given the type of construction, it is doable.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there a motion to add, item 11.5, which would be to approve, Anna Holloway as the new accounting manager?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, motion by Bob to amend the agenda. Do I have a second?
Jay Eddy?
Any questions? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? So moved. Okay, 11.1, is there a motion to approve the bid for the line striping?
I'll make a motion to accept.
And what is the name of our contractor, Brian?
Rylon Corporation,
Rylon.
They've done it, Brian, for how many years?
they've done it probably for 6 or 7 years. There may have been a year or two in between where they didn't do it.
Okay, so we have a motion to award Krylon Corporation the bid for the line striping.
Is that part of Litchfield?
Yes, they were Critchfield, different Critchfield than the contractor.
It is
Contractor.
I saw the name on the.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, his name is Brian Critchfield, is the president of the organization.
Is there a second on the motion?
I'll second.
Second by Bob Kohler. Any questions?
I do.
Yeah.
We've got additional parking spaces that we're gonna be looking at for pool. I've already submitted numbers to you for the budget. Will that fit within this, or will this be a separate, number? You don't know anything about this yet, so don't, you don't know anything about this yet, Brian, yet.
This will be a minor extra, I think, John.
Okay.
'Cause they
I have a
won't- mean,
question.
Wait, just a minute, please.
This is something typically takes place in early May, right, Brian, if I remember correctly?
Yes, they have to complete it by the end of this fiscal year.
Yeah, so, okay, yeah. So
Yeah,
that's-
I'd like them to get that, if they're gonna be on the mountain though, with the three of us, there's gonna be other areas, so is that gonna go?
Well, I mean, if they're here and there's something that has been done that can be lined, obviously that's more efficient, right? They're here, their equipment's here, they're mobilized, but I think we're talking about the fiscal '22 capital budget, adding some additional parking spaces. That hasn't been approved yet, we haven't done any of the work, so that
So
would be a separate.
All right, so question then, is there additional money in the budget for additional line striping in this fiscal year?
There's $8,000 in the budget right now.
Okay,
I have to go back and look, but I think that's.
There need to be signage so that people understand the dotted white
Yes.
line.
yes,
Yeah, there's,
That need to go.
yeah,
Yes.
I agree.
My point is, does it need to be in that budget?
yeah, that part has already been submitted, Dan.
Okay, before I take the question, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
So ordered. Is the question about something on the agenda?
Okay, the reason I have a question is because we used Krylon last year and I didn't feel they did a very good job at all. I walk a lot and I feel that they watered down the paint. I don't feel they did a good job. That paint is scraped off that they put on the striping last year. I brought it up several times. It was never, they never came back and redid it. Nothing happened about it.
You know what, Donna, we'll make a note of that, and, you know, Brian, let's just make sure they're using the right materials. when
Are they cleaning, are they brushing it? They have-
Yeah.
Did they see the broom?
It's a spray on.
Yeah, but they use a broom to clean, it doesn't do it good if you spray it or not.
Oh, yeah, on the excavator, so, yeah, they do.
Thanks for the
You know, paintbrush, I
information,
meant.
Donna.
It does.
Sure enough.
Okay, but, you know, we'll let them know that, you know, we're a little concerned about some of the areas.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your comment. Okay, 11.2, we need a motion extending the contract for Paul Bunyan Tree Service as stated in the RFP.
I'll make that motion to open discussion.
Is there a second?
Sure, I'll second it.
Motion by Bob Kohler, second by Dan Martin. Questions or comments?
Brian, any changes in the rates from full budget?
No, the rates have stayed the same, and this will be for 3 years now.
Okay.
One comment to make, this is their last year that they are due for renewal, so come next year, you know, the bidding process has to start over again.
Okay,
All right, thank you.
thanks. Any other questions or comments?
Okay, if we're under the contract, why are we bringing this up? If this is their last year of the contract?
It's stated in the contract, they were awarded a 1-year contract with a chance for 2 more renewals. Annual.
Yeah. In which case, we would have to take action.
Okay, just
Okay,
asking.
thanks, Dawn, thanks, Brian.
I have a question, Pat, for Brian.
Yes, Sean?
What's the break point between what Paul Bunyan does and what the maintenance group does?
Safety. That's what the break point is. I mean, tree guys are a special breed of laborers and skilled people. You know, I'm fine picking up brush and cutting down a little sapling, but, you know,
Okay.
tree work is dangerous. You need to know what you're doing. So that's my concern.
I agree with that for items 1, 2, and 4. I don't agree with that for items 3.
One, two.
Okay, let's complete this one. So we have a motion to extend the contract for Paul Bunyan. Motion by, Bob, seconded by Dan Martin. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So ordered. 11.3 is the trash compactor discussion.
I think we defer this one.
Is there a motion to table that?
I think, you know, during executive session, we did discuss that. We've heard, some good comments from a homeowner that we need to discuss. And I've done some financial analysis on it as well, but I think the board probably needs to talk more about location, and do we really wanna do this, et cetera, before.
I'd like to make a motion to table this. I'd like to make a motion to table 11.3 for further discussion.
Motion by John Eddie to table, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Bill Leisha. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? So ordered. Do I have a motion to approve the salt dome lease? 1 year. I'm not bitter.
We double the rate, we could get a notice provision in there.
Just so that everybody, the homeowners know, the lease is $1 per year. And it's
Do I have a
been that
motion
way
to approve?
for Many. I will make that motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, any questions on the motion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Oh, sorry, so ordered. 11.5.
You get 50 years?
Motion to approve the hiring of Anna Holloway as our accounting manager, effective May 3rd, 2021.
And right after our $1 lease for the.
Yeah, where's that gonna fall from?
No correlation. I will happily make.
There goes that much.
Motion by Bob Kolar, second.
I'll second.
Second by John Eddie. Any questions on the motion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered. Welcome aboard.
I wish I had known this before I gave my notice. Haven't been voted on.
Okay. Anybody have anything else for the good of the order? Okay, if not, our next meeting date is Friday, May 21st at 7 PM. Is there a motion to adjourn?
One question.
Yeah.
This will be the last meeting for Fridays. Come June, we will be on Saturday mornings, correct?
Right. For what Mr. Eddy reminded us was that our May meeting will be our last Friday evening meeting. And June, July, August, we'll be meeting Saturday morning,
Third Saturday.
the third Saturday of the month. And what we're hoping to do for next month, and I realize, don't hold me to this because we don't know what the weather's gonna be like, but we may move the meeting outside so that we can do an in-person meeting. I'm concerned that this, won't be big enough, depending on, what the governor's rules are. If it is, we'll meet inside. But we'd like to start going to an in-person meeting if at all possible. If it's inside, masks will be required, but, we'll do our best to set up a social distance seating area. Okay, so fingers crossed for good weather and more people would be able to attend outside. Anything else? If not, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Sure.
Motion by John Eddie,
I'll second.
second by Bob. All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay. Well, thank you to everyone
Thank
for
you,
attending.
everybody.
It was good to see everyone out there, at least in part.
Meeting adjourned at 7:45.
Good timing.
Push the ends over here.
Oh, wow. Welcome.
Oh, thank you.
Well, Ann, it wasn't horrible, was it?
No, I just was surprised. I didn't know that.
I don't think we're gonna do it.
Yeah.
I think
No,
we're
we're
finished.
Yeah.
Thanks.